I still remember the exact moment her message lit up my phone, like it was burned into my memory. I was sitting in my car outside a small grocery store, engine still running, half listening to music when her name appeared. No warning, no build-up, just a single message that changed everything. I'm moving on. That was it. No explanation, no apology. My hands froze around the phone, and for a second I thought it was a mistake. But deep down, I already knew it wasn't. Something inside me went completely silent, like even my thoughts had stopped responding. We had been together for almost 4 years. Not perfect, but real, at least I thought so. We met during college, shared cheap dinners, late-night study sessions, and dreams we both swore we'd chase together. After graduation, I got a stable job in IT support, while she started working in marketing. Life got busier, but I never thought it was pulling us apart. We still had routines, morning texts, weekend coffee runs, and random calls during lunch breaks. That's why her message didn't just hurt, it didn't make sense in the world I thought we built. Looking back, there were small changes I ignored. She started replying slower, sometimes hours later. Her excuses were always the same: meetings, deadlines, tiredness. I told myself she was just stressed. I even made excuses for her silence. Work is hectic, I'd say to myself. But something felt different. She stopped sharing details about her day. Even her voice on calls changed, shorter, colder, like she was trying to finish conversations instead of enjoying them. I just didn't want to believe what was slowly becoming obvious to everyone except me. About 2 weeks before that message, I suggested we meet for dinner. She hesitated before saying, "I might be busy, I'll let you know." She never did. That night, I saw her Instagram story, dinner with coworkers, laughing, glasses raised. I wasn't in it, not even mentioned. I remember staring at my phone longer than I should have. Something cracked inside me, but I still didn't confront her. I told myself relationships go through phases. I didn't know I was already being phased out of my life without realizing it. The real shift came when I noticed her phone habits. She used to leave it anywhere around me. Now it was always face down, always in her hand. One evening, while we were on a short call, I heard a notification sound and she suddenly said, "I'll call you back," and hung up immediately. No explanation. That was unusual for her. I tried to brush it off, but I started paying attention to everything after that. Not because I was paranoid, but because things simply didn't add up anymore in ways I could ignore. A few days later, I asked her casually, "Are we okay?" There was a pause on the line that felt too long. Then she replied, "Of course, why wouldn't we be?" Her tone was flat, almost rehearsed. I laughed lightly, pretending I believed her, but my stomach tightened. After that call, I sat in my room staring at the ceiling fan for almost an hour. I kept thinking maybe I was overthinking, maybe I was becoming insecure. But deep down, I already felt like I was holding on to something that had quietly let go of me. Then came the small but unforgettable detail that shifted everything. I saw a restaurant bill on her Snapchat story one evening. Someplace across town, expensive, somewhere we had once talked about going together. She was there with someone, though the person wasn't visible. I didn't ask. I just watched it disappear after 24 hours like it never existed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every conversation, every delay, every excuse. It started feeling less like confusion and more like confirmation I wasn't ready to accept yet. I finally decided to meet her in person. I told her I'd be near her office and asked if she had time. She said, "I'll try." That alone told me everything. When we met, she looked different. Not physically, but emotionally distant. We sat in a small cafe, and I remember stirring my coffee more than drinking it. I said, "Do you still see a future with me?" She avoided my eyes for a moment before replying, "I think we've changed." That sentence felt heavier than anything she could have said. I pressed gently, "Changed how?" She sighed and said, "I don't feel the same anymore. I've been thinking about it for a while." My heart didn't break loudly, it just sank quietly. I asked if someone else was involved, and she paused again. That pause said more than words ever could. Finally, she said, "It's not that simple." But in that moment, it actually felt very simple. She had already left emotionally. The message I received earlier wasn't the beginning of the end. It was just her final confirmation. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just sat there absorbing it. She kept talking, saying things like, "I didn't plan this," and "I didn't want to hurt you." But I barely heard her. My mind kept returning to that first message, "I'm moving on." It suddenly made sense. This conversation wasn't a breakup. It was a notification of something already decided. I looked at her and said calmly, "You already left before you told me." She didn't deny it. That silence was the only truth I needed. She expected anger, maybe questions, maybe tears. But I gave her none of that. Instead, I simply nodded and said, "Okay." That confused her more than anything else. She asked, "That's it?" I replied, "If you're sure, I won't hold you here." It wasn't cold, it was just acceptance. I think that unsettled her more than if I had fought for her. She left the cafe shortly after, walking out without looking back. I stayed there longer than I should have, staring at an empty cup that suddenly felt like my entire relationship. The next few days were strange. No calls, no messages, just silence. I didn't chase her. I deleted nothing, blocked nothing. I simply let everything remain as it was. Friends asked if I was okay, and I'd just say, "It's done." At night, I would replay everything, not out of pain, but understanding. There's a difference between being abandoned and being released from something that already died. Slowly, I started realizing I wasn't losing her anymore, because she had already left long before she told me. A week later, she sent one final message, "I hope you're okay." I didn't reply immediately. When I finally did, I wrote, "I am. I hope you are too." That was the last conversation we ever had. No drama, no closure meeting, no emotional breakdown. Just two people acknowledging an ending that had already happened quietly. Strangely, I felt lighter after that. Not happy, not sad. Just free from waiting for something that was never coming back in the first place. Life moved on faster than I expected. Work felt easier, nights felt quieter, and weekends no longer revolved around waiting for messages. I started reconnecting with friends I had ignored during the relationship. One of them said, "You seem different." I didn't explain it in detail, I just said, "I stopped holding on to something that let go of me first." And for the first time in a long while, that felt completely true. The absence of her didn't feel like loss anymore. It felt like space I could finally breathe in. Months later, I still think about that message sometimes. I'm moving on. Not with pain, but clarity. It wasn't the end of love. It was the end of pretending. Sometimes people don't break you with arguments or betrayal you can clearly see. Sometimes they just quietly leave and expect you to chase shadows. I didn't. I let her go without a word because deep down, I realized something important. Not every ending deserves a fight. Some deserve silence, acceptance, and the decision to finally move forward without looking back.